All right. Hallelujah. Mbote, mbote, mbote. Saubona. Hallelujah. Zambia Benisa. Greetings. Benabeto, Benanzambi. How you all doing today? Hallelujah. Kembu, 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 Kembu. Natatanzambi Yamazulu. So, first things first, right? Sorry if the image is a bit blurry. So it's my first live in the car. You know, we're back and working again. So anyway, thank you for being here. To start, please like and share the live feed. Hallelujah. Mbote, greetings to everyone. In this video and in this episode, I just want to have a conversation, you know, just a conversation. Yeah? Alright. This session is entitled Bantu and Ancient Israelites. Okay. There are some people who are stating that the Bantu are not the Israelites. Yes? I don't feel offended. Not at all. Everyone, you know, in my conversation with Dr. Luka, yes, he's by the way, great man. You know, we have great conversations. Yeah, a man with a lot of knowledge. Yes, and he's my teacher, right? He's a great man. But in our conversation, he said something very profound, which alludes to the awakening. Yes, to the awakening, we coming to our identity. So he said that when the new days, okay, I will try to repeat what he said, because the way he said it was more profound, you know, very deep. I don't think I can repeat exactly what he said, but I will paraphrase. So he said something like this: when a new day starts, we'll wake up early in the morning. Other people will wake up later during the morning. Other people wake up during the afternoon, right? But in whatever time you start your day, the day still remains the same. Yeah? So even though you wake up early or a bit later or in the afternoon, you start your day in a different moment, but the day is still there. Yes? Now, some people, the moral of the story is this: as we are waking up, some people wake up early during the day. Yes, as the seasons or the season is changing, as we are shifting, yes, as the powers of the cosmos are shifting. Now, some people will waking up early in the, let's say, in the 2000s. Yes, some later, some are waking up now, but we are in the same season. And as we are waking up spiritually, rediscovering who we are, we also are coming into this awakening with different levels of knowledge and revelation. You see? Because I believe not everything should be based on a knowledge. And what I've come to notice is some people, they will question the Bantu movement or the Bantu identity of being, the ancient Hebrew Israelite, and they will say things like this: where are the written books? Where are the written texts? Give me proof. Yes, if you watch my video, which I did, okay, if you watch my video, which I did, entitled, Did Congo Have a Writing System? I explained. There is a writer and a European traveler, an Italian man, named Pigafetti. Pigafetti, in the 1500s, went to the Congo. Yes. Pigafetti, in the early 1500s, yes, in the 14th century, he went to the Congo, and according to his eyewitness, which he wrote in his book, in his journal, he states that when the priests were coming in, that they were burning the mystical books of the Congo, as it, according to them, were books of magic. Now you tell me, if the priests, okay, were burning books, it will imply that we had writings, right? Otherwise, what kind of books were they burning? Yeah. Okay. So, and according to the testimony of Pastor Mello, and the testimony that he shared when he was a young boy in Angola, as they were playing around, yes, as they were playing around, suddenly, they found a face. As they opened the face, they dig it up from the ground, yes, and they looked into the face and they pulled out a scroll with written text on both sides, a kanda, which means animal skin. Yes, it was a kanda written on both sides. Missionaries came, European came, and started to dig up the site. Yes, they started to dig up the site and took all those faces and with those written texts, with those kanda, animal skins, which contain written text. Who knows what was written there? And they took it with them, like that. They took it with them. Now, you have to remember, during the times of war and colonizations, the Europeans stole a lot from the Bantus, yes, and from sub-Saharan African kingdoms, mainly, let's say Bantu kingdoms. They stole a lot. And according to the Acto da Fe, they burned not only books, which they designate as books of magic, but they also burned those who opposed them. So they burned books and the burned people. And when we research the history of Kimpafita, for example, Kimpafita, fought against the colonizers. Eventually, they caught her, and what did they do? they burned her at the stake. And that is what they did. And according to the wicked act, what they call acto de fe, which is burning people and burning books, which contradicts their program of colonization and evangelization, which is actually just. Yeah, Mbote, how's everyone doing today? Yeah. Kimbo natatan Zambia Manzulu. Yes. In no way do we just want to be called Israelites, you know. No. But what we're doing, what we're trying to do, is to show you that those people, yes, whom the Bible calls the Israelites, are the Bantu. Yes. Those people whom the Bible calls the Israelite are the Bantu. And the Bantus are the ancient people. That's what our ancestors believed. They called themselves the ancient people. Now, we have linguistic proof, yes, which connect us with the ancient people, yes, which connect us with the ancient people and with Hebrew itself. Yes, the proof is there. Bantu, the Kikongo and the Swahili are actually what the European took and created the Hebrew, starting with the Greek, yes, the Greek and the Romans, and they created the Bible. Ancient Hebrew, what they call Paleo Hebrew, is Kikongo. You know, it's Kikongo. It's Kikongo. And Kikongo and Swahili was the language which we all spoke a long time ago. And the ancient language is called Congololo. Yes, Congololo, Kikongololo. That's the ancient tongues. Yes, the ancient tongue of the Bantu was called, according to one elder, one Congo elder, Kikongololo or Congololo, ancient language. Now, let's go on. So, the Bantu languages are dialects which have the same, they come out from the same source, yes, but they broke up in different dialects. But they all share the same source, let's say a mother tongue. Yes, they all share a mother tongue. That's why all those dialects have similar words in it. And if you know one dialect very well, you can easily learn other dialects. Okay? Words may differ here and there, but in its origin, in its roots, they're the same. Yeah? For example, the word kufa, which is a word for being dead or someone who died. The word kufa is found among many different Bantu tribes. As is the word muntu. It may be munt, muntu, munu, among many Bantu tribes. It's the same. And both of those words, muntu and kufa, are also in the Bible code. Yes, they are in the Bible code. Now, what I tend to do, and what people like the great Siba Malonga is doing, you know, and people like Michael Massa, people like Brother Jonathan, the great Chilombo, yes, and yeah, okay, those are the people that come into my mind right now. But and myself, and what we are trying to do is to show you the connection, yes, not only linguistic, but also in the culture, yes, in the names and etc. Just keep in mind that the European, as they wanted to wipe out our identity and the memory of the Bantu being the Israelites, the people of the book, they burned and destroyed all the evidences, like it is prophesied in the Bible. Yes, that they will cause to cease the remembrance and the name of Yiseka'yah, if you want to. Yes, that's what they intended to do. To completely remove the memory of a people called the people of Tanzania Pomutulendo. You see, so that's why as you come into this awakening, remember the books that we are reading, most of them are corrupted. You know, most of them are filled with lies. Yeah, most of them deal with the truth told by the Kadian Pemba as they want it to be. Yes. Now, when we read works of McGuffey, I forgot his first name. McGuffey, what is his first name? McGuffey is one of the, he is considered by the European the scholar, yes, the greatest scholar on Congo tradition and religion. And he writes in his book that we, the Bantu, have the traditions and customs of the people who are called the Israelites. Yes. When you go to another European historian, missionary, his name was, I think, George Carpenter, he says in his book, these Bantu people, amongst their culture, we observe many Hebrew customs. Yes. And many others say the same thing. So, if you want proof, start reading books of those Kadian Pemba. Yes. Those who went into the Congo. Those who studied the religion of the Congo and the religion of the Bantu. And you will see that the customs are there. The customs are there. Now, of course, you know, we have to remember that there's a reason everything happened as it happened with all of us. You know, as we entered into slavery, we became colonized and we lost our power. It because we betrayed the Most High. We betrayed the holy ancestors, our fathers. Yes. And we were punished, you know. We were punished. We lost our power. There's a reason, because our ancestors who lived back then were doing things which were not correct, and we betrayed. We shared the secret with the strangers. You know, we were committing sin. As a consequence, we lost our power. You know, we lost our dignity. We became slaves for a long time. For a long time. But we also ruled for a very, very long time. Yes, a very, very long time. The time span that they present to you is not correct, people. It's not correct. You know, we ruled for a long time, and our ancestors, created the most advanced civilization at all levels. Till today, no civilization have come close to what our ancestors have done and to what our ancestors had accomplished. Yes, and the history, most of the history they tell you about the Bantu kingdoms, and especially the Great Congo Kingdom. Most what they tell is just a cover up, because the kingdom of Congo was amazing. You know, it was amazing. It was so magnificent that when the Kadiapemba came, starting with Portugal, with the Portuguese, they were so amazed. Okay, they were amazed. The same Negroes they were persecuting in Portugal, you know, killing them, discommunicating them, you know, discommunicator from the Catholic Church, forcing them to become Catholics to serve the image of the beast, you know, and driving them out of Portugal. Those same Negroes they found in the Congo, exactly the same people. Yes, and the kingdom, the Congo kingdom, was great, was awesome. It was so highly advanced, tremendously organized. Everything was in place, and they were in awe. Yes, they were in awe of what they witnessed. Quickly, the king of Portugal sent a letter to the Manikongo, calling the Manikongo his brother and his friend. You see? Oh, you quickly read the book Destruction of African Civilization. Read that book, or just skip everything of that book and go directly to Congo. You see, I think it's in the middle of the book or something, and read about, you know, the greatness of Congo Kingdom and the Luba Kingdom and the Kuba Kingdom. Read about Queen Zinga. She fought the Portuguese for over 30 years or 40 years. Yes. She fought them. She resisted. Queen warrior. Greater than the Amazonian warrior called Zina or something. Greater than any Kadiampemba warrior. Okay, that was the kingdom of Congo. And as the missionaries were coming in, they were witnessing and agreeing that these people that we are, you know, stealing from, that we are killing, you know, whom we are, you know, yeah, doing all this horrible thing against them, they are the people of the book. They knew the truth. They had to conceal it and to hide it because they wanted the land. Yes, they wanted the land, as it is written. So they couldn't take the land for themselves. So they came together later on, after they had to let go. Yes, and they were driven out. So they came with a plan to sit together and to divide the land amongst themselves. divided the lands among themselves. Exact as it is the book of Psalm 83. They came together with one objective: to divide the Bantu kingdoms, to divide the land of promise. And that's what they did in 1884 with the Berlin-Congo Conference. Why did they call it the Berlin-Congo Conference? Because they were planning to divide the whole sub-Sahara. So why call it Berlin-Congo Conference? Why not call it Berlin-Africa Conference? Because the name Africa already existed. They already gave that name to Africa. But they called it the Berlin-Congo Conference for a reason. Because they knew exactly what they were doing. You see? They knew exactly what they were doing. It was all about dividing the land of Congo, which is the promised land, which is the land of the people. Yes. Another thing is that people would say, no, let me go back a little bit. Okay? Now, linguistic, there's a lot of proof. And there's this Jesuit writer. His name is Abbe Boyard. Okay? He was a Jesuit writer who spent a lot of time among the Bantu, in particular among the Bakongo. Yes. And there is another writer, a Dutch writer, also a Jesuit or a Catholic priest, whose name is Joseph Smith. Joseph van Ving, excuse me. Yes, Joseph van Ving is a Dutchman. This last person I named, Joseph van Ving, he wrote a book called The Kefas Sect of Congo. Yes, I have that book at home in the Dutch language. Yes, in the Dutch language, so I understand exactly what he wrote down in that book. Okay, no Google Translate, nothing, because I speak perfectly Dutch. So I read that book and I was like, oh, Kania Pemba. This people, I'm telling you, the nations know. The nations know. And he and Abbe Boyard, these people, they know, eh? Their works complement each other. Yes. All their works complement each other as they are writing what they have seen and observed among the Congo. Okay, one of the things that Joseph van Ving wrote in his book called The Kefas Sect of Congo. Now you know that the Kefas deals with the mystery school, one of the mystery schools. It's the divine mystery school. Yes, the ancient divine mystery school of the Congo, yeah, of the Bena Congo. So calling it a sect, okay, a sect is not per se negative, but in that book he writes that the Bantu have a supreme being which they acknowledge as the ultimate cause for the creation. They call them Nzambi Ampungu. Hallelujah, Kembo, glory. They call him Nzambi Ampungu. And he explains, you know, the ritual and the initiation process, and He explained even the spirit itself. He says the Bantu people believe that the human does not only exist of the material body, but there is a soul and there is a spirit. The soul, which they call moya, which also refers to the consciousness. Yes, there is the heart of the Muntu, the heart of the body, is the center of the soul, as it, circulates, as it pumps the blood all over the body, and there is, that breath of Nzambi in the Muntu, that divine breath, a divine principle of life, which fills the entire body. Now, and he's explaining all this, the belief of our ancestors. And I think to myself, my goodness, no Kadiampemba was there to teach our ancestors all these principles, right? Everything the Mundele knows, they took from our ancestors. Do you understand? Where was the Kadiampemba to teach our ancestors from, listen up, you exist of a body, spirit, and soul? No. But our ancestors was teaching this missionaries, these so-called paters, pater, about the composition of Muntu, having body, Nitu, spirit, and soul, and many other aspects around that. Okay. Now, he also says that the Muntu, according to the tradition of the Bakongo, a Muntu thinks with his heart. Yes, and heart is Motema of Ntima. Yes, in the Kikongo. Motema is Lingala. Ntima is also heart in Bantu language. Yes, if someone is here who knows the word Ntima in the Bantu language, you can confirm. Yes, in the Lingala you will say Motema. Tema and Tima are the same. My goodness. So he said the Muntu thinks with his heart, and it is exact the theme of the Bible. Kwatulendo is here in the life. Okay, Mbote, my brother, how you doing, Mr. Kwatulendo? Mbote mande kunaga Zambia Pambula. Okay, Ntima, intimacy. Yes, heart, Ntima. In Kikongo and other Bantu language, Ntima, which is the heart, intimacy. In Lingala you will say Motema, Tema. Yes, Tema. Which in some Creole languages can mean to love. Tema. Alright, so this is exactly the theme of the Bible. The Bible tells you that the Muntu, yes, the Bible tells you think with your heart. As a man thinketh what? In his heart. You get it? It's exact. It's exact the same. So, we will continue, of course, to teach and to reveal and to show you that there's a lot of proof. There's linguistic proof, and because the Bantu languages, even though it's broken up in dialects, it has one mother tongue, And that mother tongue was Kikongo Swahili. That was the mother tongue. Yes. And the ancient tongue of our ancestors, the ancient ancestors, was called, according to some elders, Congololo. It's Congololo. Do you understand? Congo is the origin. Congo is the source. Congo is the mother. As we moved from Egypt, as we moved away from that Nile Valley situation, we dispersed, yes, over Africa as branches. We dispersed all over Africa, yes, into the west. Some stayed in the east, in areas like, of the Great Lake. Some went to the south. Some entered into the middle, kati ya Congo, kati ya Mama Africa, and eventually some crossed over. Some crossed over. They went to the west. Before slavery, a long time ago, and during, of course, the transatlantic slavery. Yes. That's the history. So linguistic, there's a lot of proof. In our migration also have one origin, the same. Yes. We all came from the Nile Valley civilization. We were all living there as one family until we broke up in branches. Some of us even entered into the east, those areas which they now call Middle East, was actually Northeast Africa. So some of us also lived over there, yes, and went even to the Far East, places like India, etc., Pakistan. We were there. So in ancient times, the world was black. The world was Bantu. We were everywhere. If we go to the Far East and you study the Hindu language, you study the Japanese language, you will see that there are a lot of Bantu words in their language. Words that that sounds like Bantu words. Yeah. And most of those ancient tribes of the Indians, right? Their traditions and their beliefs are the same as those of the Bena Congo, because we share the same origin, Hallelujah. So linguistic, there's a lot of proof. Yes. But most of, Hebrew Israelites, teachers, they want exact books. Show me the books. Show me the scripts. They are historic books written by the Kadian Pemba. Our books, they burned. Yes. And remember, as you are reading the history of the Jews, the people who wrote those history are the Jews themselves. Okay? That's the thing. These people, they know the truth. The only people who are fighting this are those who are ignorant or those who hate Africa. Yes, because of your hatred for Africa. Bantus are Hamites, freaking Hamites. Only we who went into slavery are the house of Judah. But the thing is, you were taken from Africa. Yes? So, you are telling me that those who were taken into slavery, transported to the so-called New World, of Kadiampemba, Columbus. That's the whole 12th tribe, right, that were taken. And the Europeans were kind enough to keep all the tribes together. Like Levi must go to Haiti, right? Benjamin must go to Jamaica, right? Judah must go to the United States of America. So they make sure that all the 12 tribes were kept together during slavery, colonization, let me say the transatlantic slavery. That is hard, man. That is hard. That's crazy. But that's what you believe, right? But we have linguistic proof. We have proof in our culture. Yes, we speak the ancient Hebrew, which is the Bantu languages. You can say, oh, they are all dialects. Yes, but we have one mother tongue. Exactly what is written in the book of Zephaniah 3. He will restore that mother tongue. Yes, and we will be all speaking Bantu language. One Bantu language, which is the mother tongue. Tatanzambi. No, he will restore it to us. Hallelujah. So, Bantu are the ancient Hebrew Israelites. Yes, we are. And someone will argue from, no, Bantu just means people, man. Come on, don't be ignorant. Use your intelligence. Bantu just means people. Bantu means more than just people. The definition of that word goes much deeper. Translating it and understanding it as people is just the simplicity. It's just a simple understanding of the word Bantu. Yes. Bantu actually means the people of Mtu. In one of its definitions, it means the people of Mtu. Now, Mtu signifies a vibration, a movement. It signifies a power. Yes. Mtu. Do you remember that Tatanzambe, the council of Zulu, the council, of heaven, they came together, as you read in the book of Genesis, and they said, let us make Muntu in our image and likeness, so that he has dominion. You see? Dominion. Mtu. That's the power, that's the vibration, the movement. Hallelujah. So we are the children of Mtu, which is the power. We are also the children, yes, of dominion, who had received the rulership to be the custodians of this world. Hear that? Mtu. Yes. Mtu. Now, in the word Mtu, you also have that same Mtu. Mtu. See, Mtu signifying a person who is the movement, the power, the force, the energy, the spirit. Yes. But Bantu is the children. Bana Mtu. Bana Mtu. So shorten Bantu. The children of power, of that frequency, that energy, that movement, that rule, dominion. See? Oh, goodness. Nobody can fool me. Nobody can fool me. Nobody can fool me. When your eyes are opened, no one can fool you anymore, brothers and sisters. Teacher who's focused on only those in the diaspora being Israelites. Yeah, no problem. You know, you stay there. You know, hold on to your identity of Hebrew Israelites. We are who we are, and if you recognize us or not, maybe one day we will sit together and laugh about it. You know, do you remember that time, man? And laugh about it. But for now, we know, and we will stand our ground. We will stand in our faith. We will stand in our identity. We know that the Bantu people are the ancient Israelites of the Bible. Yes, we know. And customs is there. Yes, and even in the folklore which the Kadiampemba, you know, collected from our ancestors, wrote in the books. Watch the video I did about Canaan, the land of the giants. Watch that video. Because approximately at the end of the video, I show you. Yes, I share something with you, which was written by a Kadiampemba who lived in Kenya for a long time. Yes, he collected all the stories of the elders and put it in one book. And he says in his writing, it seems as if these people had close contact with the Hebrews, because their custom. Oh my goodness. He said because their custom is familiar with the Hebrew custom. Now, custom refers to tradition, you know. It refers to people's tradition, people's culture. Yes. So what he actually saying is, in a code language, these people are the Hebrews. That's what he's saying. But he cannot say it plainly. So he says it seems that these people had close contact with the Hebrews because they have the same customs. And he named them, and he named a few. Like the custom of the Pesach, which is Pesach. Okay? To give or to pass by. Pesach. In the Hebrew, Pesach. Oh, goodness. Yeah. So, beautiful people, I've arrived at my destination. So, thank you for being here, and I hope you liked the video. If you have not done so, still have opportunity. Like the video, share with friends, and of course continue to support the work, and able to do even more. If you wish, check out my Patreon page. Link is down below. You can also support by PayPal, and if you're interested, I do host a Samba class, a gathering, so you can join us. If you want to join us, please email me, tell me who you are and why do you want to join, and you are more than welcome. Hallelujah. For now, thank you. Motondo, I am Nabi Kefas. Zambi Abenisa, Apam Labino. Hallelujah. Ingeta.